Hey guys, so yeah, I was meant to get this review out around the same day as the official, and by official I mean UK, release date of Jurassic World, the long anticipated rebootquel to some film from the 90s you may have heard of. And typically I was going to assume it was just going to be buried amongst the mountains of obviously overwhelmingly positive reviews. Oh my god, a lot of people are complaining about this movie. To the point where the film's massive box office success, woo, is now acting as some sort of hunting lure for really bitter people who need to vent about how their movies aren't receiving the same acclaim. Hey Pixar, Inside Out is nowhere near as cool as dinosaurs. And while I'm not trying to imply that everyone who's been moaning about this movie on the internet is some sort of jaded, twisted Marvel fan who can't begin to see why Jurassic World deserves, and that's the important word here, deserves to make way more money than their film. Though it totally is that. Haha, it's official, I was right all along when I was 5 and had no friends. Dinosaurs will always be cooler than superheroes. All this seems rather odd though, as literally every single person I've spoken to across a wide range of ages has absolutely loved this movie and everything in it. Almost as much as Universal shareholders. Once again proving my point that dinosaurs really are an underserved niche in pop culture. Where are all my dinosaur movies? We're on the second reboot of Spider-Man now. I knew I didn't waste my time running around like this in my youth. So as we've established, not everyone is as jubilant about Jurassic World as me, and that's totally cool. We're all entitled to our own opinions, as long as they're all founded within these very strict confines of basic university level film criticism. So here's my quick retort to all those Jurassic World bubble bursters out there. Problem number one. The one thing I've heard most people complain about is the script, namely the lack of park security or sensibility. Well, if that's what floats your boat, then you're really in the wrong fucking franchise. I love JP1 more than I love Oxygen and their mothers, but you cannot deny that the first film's plot equally makes no sense either. Now I know two wrongs don't make a right, but stop pretending that the first film based around dinosaurs being cloned and then put into a theme park is anything but unrealistic. Maybe the real problem here is that a lot of the original fans of the first film are now in their mid-20s and 30s and are now a lot more cynical and jaded, and that cynicism allows a lot more plot holes and iffy science to appear a lot more blatant. Secondly, I've been reading a lot of articles about how quote-unquote stupid several of the main characters are, citing the lack of logic in their actions, such as going rogue in a gyrosphere, an act that allows two main characters to further bond and enter into an action sequence, or Mr. Mesrani flying the chopper. An act that was set up and paid off perfectly that gave both the characters something to do and added some humour. But what about all the very clever and rather understated character moments that make a whole lot of sense without needing to stop the film, such as characters rubbing oil on themselves to cover smell, or hiding under the water just for an extra few seconds just so they won't be caught. These things happen without dumbing it down for the audience, and this is a good thing. It's way more satisfying when our heroes are successful as a result of their own wit and gumption. It makes us easier to like them and makes us a lot more invested rather than having chance or other characters just save them. Speaking of characters, where they didn't develop the characters enough, / there were too many characters. And yeah, I can kind of agree with this to some extent, but to be fair, it still leaps and bounds over Harry Potter, who goes from kind and brave in one film and 50 films later jumps to kind of brave. Or when Tony Stark goes from saucy and witty to saucy and witty. Characters are not here to drum the depth of human experience, they are vehicles to help us enjoy this fun rollercoaster ride. The ones who make us laugh, and the ones who make us hate-filled do just that. Next, it was too mean-spirited. Okay, this is a new one. Not that I've really ever had to address this before, because I didn't know we were all such fucking pussies on the internet. I know The Dark Knight wasn't exactly a family movie, so it's kind of a bad analysis, but that was a much harder 12 than this flick. And what is an undebatable fact is that kids fucking love violence. No kid actually wants their parents to take them to see Peter Pan, they want to go watch Aliens. They would rather watch Aliens or Terminator 2. Kids love to be scared, so fuck off. And you know what, kids aren't even this film's real audience anyway. It's me, the fans of the original. Absolutely nothing wrong, die in horrible ways. You know what? Life and nature is cruel, bitch, so deal with it. I've also heard that it's not quite different enough from the first film. Wow, they really are clutching at straws now, aren't they? As far as reboots are concerned, they would have been damned if they did, or damned if they didn't. Let's face it, unless you're a concept film like Mad Max Fury Road, reboots suck. Period. Would I have preferred just a brand new dinosaur franchise? Yes, but if we're going to have a Jurassic World movie rammed down our throats, we better play it safe, and this is the best we were going to get, as we don't want yet another reboot franchise that peters off and goes absolutely nowhere. Besides, anyway, we've got new dinosaurs, new likeable characters, and a fully functioning park, which is, oh my god, so well done. Jesus, sorry this film isn't fucking adaptation. The plot is formulaic and it works. Don't mess with it. And lastly, we knew we'd all have to jump on at least one social justice warrior issue in this review, and that is the issue of sexism. Bam, bam, bam! Oh no, not Jessica Chastain runs in her high heels. Oh no, she has an ample bosom. Oh no, her hair and makeup looks nice. Oh no, she falls for a hunky man who she's had a previously established emotional connection with. Seriously guys, even if it is a little bit accidentally insensitive, we have way bigger fish to fry in terms of sexist portrayals of women. Cough cough. Plus, I'm a man, I'm always right. I say it's not that sexist. So quiet ladies, back to the review. Right off the bat, let me just say that for all of Jurassic World's extensive advertising and media coverage, seemingly detailing every unique element this movie had to offer, did absolutely nothing in justifying its own existence or actually selling the film for what it was. It almost forces me to a point amidst all the clearly different takes used in the trailer, where I genuinely think that they tried to make the film look more controversially lame than it actually was. I mean, douchebags like me doing trailer reaction videos came up with lists of complaints a mile long as to why this film had been poorly mismanaged by Trevorrow or had been oversaturated with studio input. But literally everything I'd worried about initially, didn't just turn out to be bad, but was actually entertaining. The film aims for second best and by God it does it well. Not that every critic seems to think so. The fact that this film only has a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes perfectly illustrates how people do not know what they want. After 20 shitty superhero flicks this year and Liam Neeson wankstains, we finally get a decent summer blockbuster and it gets the old Edge of Tomorrow / All You Need Is Kill / Live Die Repeat treatment, even when I like a mainstream movie it gets shat on. Now, to reassure all 12 of my fans out there, I need to point out that 100% without any irony or wit that the whole velociraptors being trained to hunt and follow commands thing is handled with a lot more finesse than I come to expect from big summer blockbuster affairs like this. Like, it does work in its own Jurassic Park logic, and there's a lot of genuine tension as to whether this whole raptor plan will even work in the first place. The I-Rex also isn't lame, the chemistry between the characters isn't stilted, it's not overindulgent, and more importantly doesn't try to do too much too fast. Will not be the black sheep that so many thought, and it honours the fan base that the franchise has earned over all these years. I mean, fuck guys, if you couldn't take the time to explain how the raptor training concept isn't rubbish, then don't put it in the trailer at all. But no, we all fell for it, it got us all talking, and we all had to see it for ourselves. You really had us worried there. The shrewd marketing team actually may have manufactured the first artificial, genetically modified audience reaction, just to pull the rug out from under our feet. And pull the rug out from us is just what they do. From the first time John Williams' minimally used score plays those harmonious childhood-defining notes and that first manly droplet ran down my face and the movie had me. Bent me over a barrel and I liked it. Yeah, I was proved wrong. The film is fucking outstanding. This is the sequel that Jurassic Park truly deserved. It's just the perfect popcorn flick. People always go on about popcorn cinema as if it's this pseudo excuse for letting a movie get away with being subpar in the story department, usually throwing in dumb cunt statements like, "What, were you expecting Shakespeare?" or "You just like boring, slow foreign films." But in fact, the best popcorn cinema films, like the original Jurassic Park, as well as others like Jaws, The Terminator or Inception, are actually decent fucking movies that appeal to all audiences, but get lumped in with the Pirates of the Caribbean and the Fast and Furiosi, which appeal to the lowest common denominator. Jurassic World's goals are ambitious, daring even. In terms of actually offering us something quote-unquote new, is technically impossible. I mean, with the premise of the park opening again. Oh no, they did it again? Couldn't exactly break new ground in the storytelling department, but they do their absolute best to deliver something we actually haven't seen before. The fully functioning and ordered park is the true highlight of the film, and as many friends who have visited similar American establishments have told me, it really hits the mark. And it's filled with countless "ooh, it's cool that they put that in" moments. The action scenes have a lot more bite this time around. Sorry. The dinosaurs haven't been this scary since the first film, and the genuine sense of peril and danger that comes with this film makes it a lot more intense, which is aided by the fact that our characters have to save 20,000 more people on top of everything else. The film's real teeth comes in the form of the new and highly anticipated super duper hybrid dinosaur, the Indominus Rex, and this bastard had me physically jumping out of my seat like the little bitch ass that I am. And seriously, there is a lot of build up for this guy as well. Again, taking some cues from the Jaws book of how to introduce, this guy actually gets a lot of backstory, leading to almost a Blackfish type message. And seriously, the build up for this guy, as well as his explosive execution, makes him genuinely scary. And while they do seem to spend a lot of time giving the I-Rex some semi-motivation, a lot more than most of the characters in this film, admittedly, it doesn't detract from his sense of menace, and it truly acts in the evil manner that creatures like the Rex and Raptors could not, being that they are actual real animals. You know, like how in Avengers Age of Ultron there was always this air of pandering to remedy what the audience didn't like about the first film? Well, luckily, rather than knee-jerk reactions from only 2 years ago, the tropes and flaws of Jurassic Park 1 are now pop culture fodder. Get the fucking shotgun, Tim, you cunt child! So the film's honesty with the series' past flaws makes a lot of the film's newer elements seem a lot more satisfying, seeing as we've been waiting for some of the film's highlights for over 12 years now. Oh god, Jurassic Park 3 was 12 years ago. God, I'm old. All of your desires as a boring adult watching this movie will be gloriously satisfied. Humans actively fight back against the dinosaurs, with a nice mixture of lethal and non-lethal. The lack of dinosaur realism is actually finally addressed, and we actually get to spend some time in the actual working park. Plus, we finally get to see some air and sea dinos. And let's get to where I really thought the film was going to let us down. There was this horrible sneak peek scene from early on in the film that I talked about in my prediction video, and oh my god, again, like the trailer, it's obviously different editing really hamstrung all the charm and wit shared by the actual characters in the film. I remember preemptively wincing and whispering, oh god, here comes this scene again. I was left pleasantly surprised. Man of the hour, can do no wrong, Chris, please don't be Indiana Jones Pratt, does a fantastic job toning down his Pratt-like nature, delivering an unexpectedly serious and underplayed performance that allows him to be likeable while still being a rather aloof badass. He also delivers the little piece early on about animals being raised in isolation and captivity, and while making me feel awkward about the whole blackfish appeal, it was fun to see a character bring up contemporary issues besides cloning in its own unique and presentable fashion. Oh wait, like all good sci-fi is supposed to do, Bryce Dallas, not Jessica Chastain Howard, is also surprisingly not infuriating as the neglectful aunt who learns the value of life after watching a poor apatosaur die in her arms. Seriously, who wouldn't be moved by that? The whole supporting cast as well is just as strong, like every Jurassic Park movie, with each of them having their own little moments to shine. Although I must say, I've not been this concerned about the safety of characters in a film since, well, Caesar in the Rise of the Planet of the Apes sequel. But that film was barely a year ago, so I feel like I'm selling it short a little on just how much I enjoyed every character in this film. Now, we've all seen movies where the big bad hunters and corporate asshole villains 100 times, but again, Jurassic World makes these tropes feel a lot fresher than they actually deserved. Vincent, whatever his name is awesome as the suitably slimy InGen guy, though for the life of me I can't tell if his job title is ever actually stated, and his relentless nature, which somewhat mirrors the I-Rex, means he can really have fun with the role, and I love hating him. In general, the human villains in this film are the best from the entire franchise. Dr. Wu is also back and is delightful as the last tangible connection to the first film outside of the dinosaurs, giving a sly performance and actually stealing the show in one scene where he essentially justifies his character's entire stake in the whole world, actually allows the film to indulge, if somewhat briefly, in a lot of the more serious morality plays. It was also nice just to see Wu back in general. As a fan of the book, he was a massive character and did kind of get sidelined by Spielberg's first film. The ideas of playing with God and humanity's desire to exploit the natural world are taken to the nth degree in this film, and it is sticking to these root themes that make Jurassic World feel like the first true Spielberg sequel. The CGI worry was only halfway disappointing, I suppose. Like I mentioned before, the only non-CGI dinosaur is the apatosaur that gets royally murked by the I-Rex. Now, while this wouldn't be normally that distracting, the overabundance of CGI in places where like a puppet really blatantly could have been used. Another thing I will say is that director Colin Trevorrow, for whom this is his second feature, is clearly still trying to find his own feet in terms of his own signature style. I mean, in the dialogue scenes, he's great. His obvious wit and flair does rub off on the actors. But there was an awful lot of shot-for-shot moments and even edits that are lifted directly out of the first film and borders on the edge of ripping it off. This happens several times throughout the film, particularly one lengthy sequence where the two young brothers stumble across the remnants of the first park. And yes, as the classic theme plays, we do get a few iconic bits of set and mise-en-scène from the first film. And then some more, and then some more, and luckily he just dials it back just in time before it gets wearisome. But I must admit, it was nice to see the old Jeeps make a little cameo. All in all though, for a first big feature, this is one fucking promising career this guy has, and I can't wait to see what he does next. Which sadly isn't Jurassic World 2. This brings me on to my next point, that Jurassic World is actually the first summer film to actually have something to say in a while. A lot of haters have been saying that this film either simply isn't as good or is just painfully retreading the themes of the first film. And like, Colin Trevorrow is clearly the first person to realise this. This is why the film makes no effort to actually be the first film, and it changes its message and tone to fit with the modern world. making it a lot more in on the joke and meta than I first thought. Jurassic World may have many surface level flares going, but below said surface we actually have a rather biting look at both the current state of movies and humanity in general. Like the patrons that flock to the park, we now too are bored with dinosaurs. We need that same wow factor, needing everything to be bigger and better and more teeth. It really does make you wonder if that first reveal shot of the T-Rex would actually fly with modern audiences today at all, which parallels significantly and specifically with the state of special effects. After the death of Stan Winston, Jurassic Park really truly died, as it was his animatronics, not the CGI from ILM that made the first film. CGI nowadays is just another part of life and holds little of the wonder and awe that it used to. And after years of horrible CGI fuckfest like Avatar, we are finally given what we want. We are delivered a big CGI monster that attacks us, and like the characters in the film, we swiftly realise how much of a flawed idea that was to begin with. After craving bigger and better, with Jurassic World being relatively tiny compared to its contemporaries, what do we get? Nothing besides a lot of noise. Also, on that note, the I-Rex was so loud, it was deafening. It's also quite obviously an analysis of reboots and remakes in general. After the new girl techie employee points out that the first part was legit, we can really start to see the film's true intentions. Again, it calls us out on our own overtly nostalgic culture. Yes, the first part was great, but we can never truly make it again in our modern world. And for what seems like the billionth time I'm saying this, it's not trying to be. So don't complain when the impossible or what you specifically want isn't achieved. Just because a film doesn't give you what you personally want does not mean it's bad. Again, like the patrons, we shouldn't have such wild expectations. And should once again bask in the splendour that is good old-fashioned movie making. Also, I personally think that the big problem with these messages is that the kids from the in-betweeners generation do not specifically want to hear it. Before, it was old white men in suits that made the park suck, but now we are complicit. No longer are we safe behind abstract ideas that we can distance ourselves from. Instead, now we are reflected our own glorified consumerist culture. And like the seemingly insatiable Indominus Rex, we are forever consuming everything in front of us with no care for the skill or care that went into it, or never looking behind at the damage we may be doing. We, the audience, is why the film isn't as good as the first, due to our own greater demand for more and more. We could have had a small little dinosaur film, but no, it had to be pushed more to meet what the focus groups wanted. And again, it's clear Trevorrow knew this, so in a way, the fact that he just goes all out balls to the walls was quite funny. And when you're not restricted to trying to recreate the magic of the first film, you really can do some enjoyable things. Our own greater demand for more, our own slavish devotion to nostalgia, and our own inability to see a film for what it is why we get the film that we deserve. 2 tickets for Transformers 5, anyone? So yeah, I was proved wrong, and like many times I've said before, I do prefer that. Jurassic World is the most, and I know how cheesy this sounds, fun I've had at the cinema in years. Whether it was punching the air when the raptors attacked or jumping out of my seat, it actually at least made me feel something. Even if that something isn't exactly what I expected or wanted. And if you need an arbitrary number, I'd give it an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Now, if you'll excuse me, there is a certain Lost World review that I desperately need to conclude. Again, just a quickie though, I don't want to end on a negative, but seriously America, before we had Knob Hill in San Andreas, but now, and I'm not sure I should even be reusing this term, but please do not shorten the word Pachycephalosaurus down to
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching as I'm really trying to get this channel going. Please like and subscribe, and please leave any comments in the comment section about any improvements you might have for the channel or any comments.